one of the things I want to say too to people is that there is a difference between content creation and content capture. Right. So all of you that are watching and listening, you're creating content every day. Like if you wake up, like you're creating content. So like a lot of people that are resistant, like, oh, I don't like to create content. You're creating content. What you don't like is for that content to be captured. So if you just had a video camera that you had on a tripod that was just stuck in the corner of your room, you could capture tons of content, right?
Some good, some bad.
If you're a coach and you're talking to people and you were mic'd, I mean, listen, there's plenty of influencers that are doing that. They're just sharing one side of the conversation, right? That stuff is interesting to a lot of people. And I think what happens is people think like, well, that's not interesting, so I have to create content. I have to put on the show. When in reality, your regular life is already great. You just need to capture it. We were talking earlier, you went on this sort of round the world trip. Thankfully, you captured the essence of your trip and shared it with us. I don't think for a minute that you were like fabricating it, because that would be creation. I think if you were like thinking in your head, oh,
it's just capture.
Now I need to have a shot from Portugal. Let's go there. You were just doing Jesse kind of things, and you are letting us in on it because you were capturing. And I think that people, if they could view it that way, it might take a little bit of the edge off of it.
I love that shift of, the mindset and perspective there. Because, if I was trying to do something that wasn't just my life, I would get burnt out. It would suck. And so I think, like you just said, like that's why people get burnt out so quick. It's not trying to be someone you're not. Literally just live your life. I guess, there is a cost factor in going with, hey, I want a personal videographer to kind of follow me around. When would you say that's a good stage to, get someone like a James Lewis to capture those moments?
Well, I don't know if there's, one, financially.
When it will get you an ROI.
Yeah, when it can produce an ROI. So you have to be generating, enough revenue that is justified. At the same time, there's so many things that you can do. And this is one of them that we're doing right now. One of Lacey and I's biggest pieces of advice for everyone is start a podcast. Start a podcast. It's way cheaper than hiring a James Lewis. You just need minimal equipment. Get your podcast going, get it legitimized. And then just like we're doing, like we have the ability to reach out to Jesse. And I know that, broadcasting this into your community, a lot of people would really understand this, that we could send Jesse a DM and say, Jesse, you want to come on our podcast? And he's like, yeah. Then I'm like, well, it's at SoFi. He's like, cool, I'll be there. And then we get to sit down and have one-on-one time with Jesse. Right. And so what is the value? Yeah, we're doing a podcast, but Lacey and I are getting the content, we're getting the relationship, and we're getting the knowledge. I want to share this too, just last night, because this fits sort of the whole topic of everything that we've been talking about. We were with one of our mentors, Dave Steck, amazing guy. Recommend everybody look him up if you could ever have an opportunity to hear him speak or intersect with him.
More gold bars than anybody I've ever been around. Just you're like, all the time.
So just at dinner last night, he goes, Shawn, you know that there's 3 types of arbitrage? And I was like, no, what do you mean? He goes, well, everybody knows financial arbitrage, right? You raise money at 6%, you lend it out at 9%, financial arbitrage. He goes, then there's education arbitrage, and then there's knowledge arbitrage. He goes, the most important one of those is knowledge arbitrage. And Dave is literally, a family office, huge financial success in his life. And he's like, I've only ever read 2 books in my life. 2. I've only ever read 2 books in my life. But I don't have to read books. You know why? Because if I wanted to know about, how am I going to, leverage properties? I want to do something like in the real estate space, and I want to have an entrepreneurial side to it, and I want it to cash flow. Rather than read a book about it, I could just call Jesse, right? If I wanted to know, like, how can I build my social media, rather than take a course or read a book, I could call Dave Meltzer or any number of people I would reach out to. And he's like, if you understood that, so that brings that full circle: mentorship, relationships, and now knowledge arbitrage. And then he said, listen, if you like that, what I just told you, then you would arbitrage that. Maybe you would make a course. Maybe you would start teaching this. And I would say the same thing. And I always say this, just make sure you give credit to Dave Steck, right? But if you're hearing this on the podcast and you're like, whoa, knowledge arbitrage, I could make a lot of money teaching that to my friends, my colleagues, the designers in my co-working space. I'm just going to charge them money for that. That by definition, that's knowledge arbitrage. And that is probably the biggest thing that we can do as entrepreneurs, is to understand that. So having a podcast, pure knowledge arbitrage, because we sit down with people like Jesse and Albert Preciado and Tim Story and all of these amazing people that share their knowledge with us one-on-one
for free.
And then we're able to go out and leverage that in what we're doing, coaching, teaching, etc.